Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the February 19th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. Call to order. Roll call, please.
Rob Howard,
Absent.
absent. Roderick Anderson,
Present.
Jared Bachman. Jared Bachman. Bill Wanner,
Here.
Randall Ryder. Here. And Tim DeCicero, here.
Here. Nice. Yep. Here. Okay, I'll take a motion.
And Tim.
Yes, there we go. I'll take a motion to approve the December 18th, 2024 meeting minutes, please.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
And a second.
I'll second.
Any corrections, comments, or changes to it? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That approves. Okay, item number 4 is opening up the public hearing, which leads us to the number 5, which is the public hearing with the conditional use permit application by Matt Bruner doing business as Badger State Storage GB LLC to construct a new self-storage building, expanding the existing facility location at 201 Wisconsin Street North. We're open for discussion. And anybody present can step up to the podium, please, and state your name and your location. And we'll start the public hearing.
Okay, I'm Steve Perry. I'm the president of the East Bank Homeowners Association. East Bank is a small community of 22 townhomes located at the corner of Wisconsin Street and Galahad Road. I submitted a letter that you all have, but I'm not sure you've had a chance to read it, so I'll just quickly summarize it for you. We unanimously, all 22 residents, are opposed to the approval of this permit to expand the Badger State storage facility. And that expansion is approximately 74% increase in its footprint. As you know, that facility is completely surrounded by North Hudson residents, and we're concerned that this additional size of the storage unit will create a noise and traffic concern in our neighborhood, especially along Galahad Road. You all know that road is pretty narrow. It sees a lot of foot and pedestrian and bicycle traffic in the summertime. And the increased traffic that this larger facility will bring is a concern of mine just for the safety perspective. There's no shoulder on that road. The road is not exactly in the best of repair. And so even 2 cars passing generally take up the whole road. As a bicyclist and a walker on that road, I get concerned every time I see a car, and the additional traffic is going to disturb me even more. The conditional use permit included a storm water runoff, and it mentioned in there that a lot of the runoff runs into the St. Croix River, and most of that goes through my neighborhood. We are a low point on that part of North Hudson. Most of that water runs down through our entrance and then into a small little ditch that we built that goes into the St. Croix River. During the heaviest rains in the spring and early summer, that small ditch is at its capacity for maintaining the runoff, and my concern is that an additional building in this facility will create additional storm runoff into our neighborhood, potentially beyond the capacity of that small ditch that we have, and create some damage in my neighborhood. Additionally, the storage units are not manned with an office. They don't have patrols. There's no inspection program for the unit, so we're not sure what kind of hazmat or toxic material may be stored in those units. And if you expand it, the risk that stuff may eventually end up in the St. Croix River, I think, is increased, and that's not good. Lastly, I don't think the expansion of this unit brings a whole lot of benefit to North Hudson. You'll be able to charge a larger property tax bill, I'm sure, but it will still pale in comparison to the property taxes paid by its neighbors. All the residents around that storage unit are voters here in North Hudson, and the owner of the storage units is not. And so I ask that you consider that when you consider the approval or disapproval of this permit. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Okay. Representative of Badger Storage is here. Matt, right?
Yeah.
Please, you can step up, Matt.
I don't know if you guys were putting anything up as far as the actual plans or wanted to look at anything.
Well, most of us got submitted a packet.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the only thing that you probably don't have yet, because it was talked about today or agreed upon today, was the stormwater plan.
Right.
So everything, as far as I know with our engineer and your engineer, was already established for stormwater runoff, which is to the 100-year event. Basically, everything is contained on site on the property, so there's no water runoff of our property to any other property. The expansion itself is roughly 30,000 square feet, just a hair over. The current property has 120,000 or 110,000 square foot of storage building. So it's not, 75% expansion. I would say it's more in the line with, 30% expansion. We are pretty much full currently. We did change a lot of the operation when we took over. We are local, not in Hudson, but right across the border in Minnesota, local operators. I don't know if you've, seen with the city or with the police, but crime as far as when we've taken over from when we bought it to now is down as far as I know on the property. We installed camera systems, gate access control that regulate night operation, more lighting on the property so it's more secure. It does, store a lot of things for local residents, especially like small businesses getting going. We have contractors that store electrician equipment, plumbing equipment, stuff like that there as well. But yeah.
Matt, in purpose of everyone listening, can you kind of describe where you're planning on your proposal to add where, as far as the existing to the?
Yeah, so the property is 2 parcels, so it runs north-south. So it's that older industrial building, is that huge building is part of our parcel, and then the self-storage runs on the west side, and this would be expanding a little more to the southeast. So the property itself is offset from Wisconsin Street there to the north a little bit, and then kind of backset on our property behind the housing. So as far as, street visibility, you'll be able to see it from the street, but we construct stuff. If it's new construction, it's going to be aesthetic, and you guys would see the building plans, obviously, before we build it. So
It's where all those trees and, there's trees and brush back there.
yeah, there's a big pile of brush right now. We started kind of cleaning out. There was a big rock pile and rubbish and stuff in there when we bought the place. So we've been slowly kind of cleaning out the garbage that was back there. But
Since you've got the gate system that you've got in place, how many in and outs do you get an hour
an hour?
or a day?
Give me a second, I'll tell you.
'Cause I sat there for an hour today.
It's pretty low traffic, realistically.
I sat
But
there for an hour today and I didn't see one vehicle going in and out.
yeah, that's the business of self-storage. It's not high traffic. Yeah.
Was it?
So
Yeah. Policeman drove by about 3 times, wondering what I was doing right.
Wonder who you were.
Yeah. That's okay. I'd rather have that than
Yeah.
the other way.
yeah, so for today, these are including, so we have warehouse access control, so I'd have to pull that date out because we have some tenants that are in the warehouse, so they're more in and out of their doors frequently, but as far as access on the self-storage, looks like about 10 today, in and out of the gate. I mean,
Can you tell, how far back can you go on your app there?
for daily activity
Yeah, can you go back to June
to June,
or September?
I can look
December.
like a
activity.
day in June.
Yeah, pick one. Or
Okay.
maybe a weekend day would probably be busier, right? Just to get an idea what the traffic flow is.
So like, for example, a Saturday, June 15th.
Is there any kind of plan for Galahad to be repaired around the edges? Or, like it's stated, it's almost.
No.
There isn't anything on the,
They're gonna put a bike trail there, aren't they?
well, we've been trying to get some grant dollars for that particular project, but unfortunately it hasn't been successful yet.
Kevin, you want to do a favor? Just grab that mic right there and just bring it closer to you. You guys can talk right there as far as I'm concerned, because,
Okay, I can see.
yeah, you guys sit right there. That's perfect. Yeah, that works well.
Sure.
Sorry, it takes me a minute to load
No,
from the
that's fine. All
phone.
right, I
So.
got some other questions. More to Kevin's, and because I know you didn't submit this. Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, but I mean, I think our building inspector might have added some statements. I'm more concerned about that runoff and the bays and the swale between the existing building and the building one, and it talks about appears to be to drain into the swale. Please provide sizing calculating for the swale. I don't know if, number 6 on that one document, I just need more explanation as far as what that swale contains of and what it means. Do you know what I'm talking about there?
Yeah, so basically you got a lot of rough runoff that's gonna come from both buildings. So basically, we wanna just make sure that, you know, the swale is sized so that you're not gonna overwhelm it and actually, you know, get water into the units themselves. So that's what that comment is, calling out for. And
Yeah.
I know there was another submittal that was sent tonight.
Yeah, everything as far as I know, we had a meeting with, forget the company, but,
Yep.
our engineer was already in talks with him and they seemed to agree on everything. The only change, I think, there was a major change is, well, not major, but the furthest south building is moving over, I think, 10 feet to give more infiltration basin, so you got more time to hit that time mark for their, you know, 100-year mark.
Yeah, so basically, we had a meeting on Monday.
Yeah.
And we went through all these comments that we provided. And one of the big things that we noticed is just meeting the 10 and 100-year rainfall event. And, you know, they were gonna go back and go
Yep.
through and resized it, and that's where
Correct.
you're saying that the building got pushed over to the west to accommodate a bigger infiltration basin.
Oh,
Correct, and that was already submitted, so as far as I know,
Yep.
everything's already set for that, for approval. Obviously, a CUP would be, you know, based on that being approved and agreed upon, but
Yep.
so considering that, and then considering our property owner that's 100 feet, where is she located? This person located at? We got additional letter in our thing states that, talks about, the village is sending notification meetings because you own a property within 100 feet of this applicant.
Well, I don't know, I haven't
That's
seen that one.
323 3rd Street. So I'm trying to understand why this is in our packet. You see that? I got it here. What is this?
I'm thinking that's a residence, it's maybe on the east side of this parcel,
Couldn't be on, it would have to be on, yeah, east side.
east side.
Yeah, I was surprised nobody from the east side is here because it's gonna butt up right to their house.
That's where I'm going with this,
Right.
yeah.
That's why I saw, I guess, don't take this the wrong way, I saw a bigger concern about the people who were gonna back up to it.
Yeah, that's where I'm
The
going.
people on the water.
Yeah.
Because there's no entrance on Galahad to your complex,
no, there's
correct?
not. Yeah, and they really won't be visible from, because there's that tree line that's in between Gallahan and our property anyway. The ones that are gonna be to the east, obviously, they're gonna see buildings, but they see buildings now. So it's just, you know, 40 feet or whatever the offset is from there, you know, the setbacks are, and that's what the difference would be.
So you talking about this one?
Yeah.
So this is just a sample letter that the
Oh.
village sent out
Oh,
to
they sent out to him.
everybody on this list.
But, oh,
here.
again, okay, thank you, Paul. I'm just thinking this thing, I'm going, 3rd Street, how does it get back? I mean,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to answer your
This is a
question
copy.
earlier,
this is-
about 15 people on June 15th through the gates.
Yeah, that's the street I
So,
was,
thank you.
thank you.
So that's not, what street is that?
That's the street on the east side. It's the street that doesn't go through. It kind of loops. It dead end, and it doesn't dead end, but,
There's trees.
yeah.
Right. Well, that is the street. It is, yeah. I'm assuming they'll be going away with this, yeah.
the ones in the center would, yeah. I don't know, I don't think there's any trees really on the edges of the property. There's been some dead ones that
Yeah, I
we've
walked
taken
through
out
there, right.
for the people that are living back there, but
I saw a lot of dead trees when I went over there.
yeah, we had
Call that, yeah.
quite a few cut out
That is
last
fair.
year because they're too near to the property line.
Yeah, I'm surprised she's not here.
Yeah, I think that's kind of your standard practice,
It is standard practice, man, she's on her list as being on it, so that is there, that's,
Yeah, that was I think the letter to her,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, so.
yeah.
And everybody, I think, on that list got that same letter.
Yep, thank you.
That's an ordinance, isn't it? You gotta pay, you gotta do so many feet
Yeah,
within where
yeah.
the change is gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you happen to see the June, or whatever date you had?
Yeah, it was like 15 people through the gate.
So, not to dispute you, Steve, because I think you bring some valid points, but this building is gonna be farther to the
East, correct.
than the existing buildings, right?
Yes.
Right.
There's already building.
From what I
in
can
the
see,
way.
I counted that there were gonna be an additional 130 units in that new building, which accounts for 74% increase on your existing 176 units.
Well, we have more than 176 right now, but yeah, we don't even have a unit count because the building hasn't been submitted for engineering yet. This is just a CUP to get use, and then we would submit engineering drawings because we don't know what size units we're going to put in there. But it would be, if you're going to go vertical length on each building, every 10 feet is roughly a unit. So you just have to look at the total length of each building. So yeah, you got roughly 12 there, roughly 30 there. This would be double, so you'd have 50, and then another 30. So 120-ish units? Yep, close. Yeah, and I think right now we have, I'd have to look, but 300 and something units.
Well, you placed a comment. Pardon me?
Yeah, this is a infiltration basin, so there won't be any water sitting in the bottom of it.
Yeah, the pond that's there already on the property is a set existing pond that's used for stormwater collection for that event, and then there'll be infiltration basin to make sure the water isn't running towards, Gallahan or Wisconsin Street.
Is there a reason the access couldn't be from Monroe coming into on the north end instead of the south end?
We have both, but from a security standpoint, it's been better having them come, it seems like, off Wisconsin, because you're right through that industrial bay. But, I mean, if that would make sense, we could look at doing that, but if like
You
traffic
got
got
truck
too
traffic
hard.
and everything coming in now off of Monroe, off a signalized intersection,
Yeah,
and it's already a hard area use with,
right now, if you come off of
trucks.
Wisconsin into our facility, there's a wide pad, basically. So you're not sitting on the street to get in, you're pulling in, and then you're entering your code to get into the gate. So there's not obstruction of traffic. At least I've never seen cars sitting there blocked, but if that became a problem, we do have a north entrance that we could route people through. Just from a security standpoint, though, we've basically shut the access on the north end off to have people route through there, because then we know in and out traffic much better with our camera system. So like with the chief of police and everything, we've just had like no incidents in the last 3 years as far as what they were experiencing before. But
yeah, the security thing is your issue. I'm talking about traffic in the neighborhoods and the
Yeah.
spillover for what they have to deal with and narrowing roadways and
Right.
hard commercial use already and semis coming in there and a direct shot from Monroe off of 35 with the intersection. So it's
Yep.
that makes more sense.
So like our warehouse use that uses trucks, they come from the north side. So all the bigger trucks that we have that are tenants tend to come from the north side, but like a normal storage tenant where they're coming in with a car or a truck comes off Wisconsin.
I see that you do have access code entrance into that gated lot already, though.
All of it's now coded
Yeah.
for security. Yeah.
Well, your data that you just gave of 10, what was it, yesterday or whatever?
Yeah.
And 15 in June, kind of validates what I saw when I sat there a couple times. Nobody came in or out when I was there. So that the concern, I mean, I can see your concern about the water. That's a real concern. The concern about the traffic, I don't see it. I don't know where maybe I'm just missing something from what I saw.
Well, you looked at it at what a day with below zero temperatures, so not a
Sure.
lot of people are going
That's
to
a
be
valid
delving into their
point.
storage locker. Next
Yeah.
week would be a better gauge if it was a day to come.
But he did
visit.
go back to June and
Right.
had 15 on a Saturday in June.
I mean, like I said, if it becomes a problem, we can open up Northgate traffic and just send an email out to everybody, hey, use this gate, or whichever one's closer to you, use whatever preferred gate you want. We don't have an exit keypad on the north gate, which is why we kind of shut that down for now from a security standpoint. So we like to track in and out traffic, know who's in there. Basically, it helps keep it safer so you don't get riffraff, which is usually the general complaint with self-storage. Is you start seeing problems in self-storage. We try to avoid all of that.
Your existing road coming in for your entrance off of Wisconsin Street, that bituminous in between your existing buildings, what's the width on that?
The road width,
Yeah, inside for circulation.
I mean, it's pretty wide down the center. The west side is very tight. That wasn't existing. I'm sure that wouldn't have met setback regulations, but we bought it that way. There's no new buildings on that side, but the standard width on like the north end where there's newer buildings, those are, I think, 30 feet between. And then if you look at our roadway from Wisconsin Street, I believe that's probably 40, 45 feet between the keypad and the actual building, because you can get 3-4 vehicles by each other there.
It just looks tighter when you get into where your units are.
For sure, to the west side, it's really
Coming in,
tight.
yeah.
Like, but that's single lane vehicle traffic coming through, not driving off of the street. So there's, you know, very few cars go back there.
Yeah, I was just think the fire code is 20 feet for fire truck.
Yeah.
Kevin, did you get all your
I was gonna ask that question, Paul, thank you.
Yeah, I
answered
think,
here, or are you still waiting for information?
well, there was a submittal that was made at about 5 o'clock tonight, so I haven't had a chance to actually look at that information, but I would, you know, if there's gonna be approval tonight, I would have it contingent upon addressing all of these concerns, so it's part of something of record. But I think.
It was all the stormwater stuff, right?
Yeah, it was all the
I'm
stormwater.
pretty sure they agreed on everything through there, but
Yeah.
obviously we would be,
Yep.
that would be contingent on this.
So we look at, I'm not sure what slide this is, but this is how you identify this. But it's, does it matter? It says C 101.
Yep, that's the.
If you look at C 101, so when you look at, where's that retention pond that you're talking about?
That's what I called out.
So if you look on sheet,
401.
yeah, probably
Right here.
the grading plan for C 301. That's actually the grading plan, so the pond itself is on the southeast side. It's just on the east side of, building number 4.
So it's got a moat going around it.
This is gonna pick up this water and bring it down.
Do you have an estimated number for project cost as far as for increase evaluation?
We typically would submit the construction bids with the building permits. I mean, those vary quite a bit in size, but you're looking at roughly $30 a square foot on the build cost.
To cost.
Yeah. So you're, 400 grand-ish.
Kevin, right?
Sorry.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So with the activity that's going on behind that facility with those old railroad buildings, does the drainage from those railroad buildings work? So when you look at that water where the drainage is
Yep.
on the far east side of the property where
Yep.
they're gonna put it,
Yep.
does the drainage from those buildings in the back there, those railroad buildings, does it go all the way down there?
It does. Yeah, so
Just
there,
the stuff on our property, though.
yeah, there is a existing pond that sits up on the northeast side. And it's on sheet, well, it's on the new sheet, it's been called out, but there's another existing infiltration basin that sits up there. So, and that's been sized for a 100-year event as well, but that overflow will come down way on the east side of his property, and there's a swale that's dedicated towards that, will ultimately drain into the new constructed pond.
And that would be between his building and the residents, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Swale.
Yep, there'll be a swale to convey that.
Is there any concern that you'd get too much water coming from the part that's not their property?
Nope, and that's why,
I don't think there's anything running to, because if you look at the parking lot on the east side, it's crowned, and then there's ditches running both directions down to that current pond. As far as the elevations look to me, that it all is held in-house, and we've never even had water sitting in that pond before, so, I mean, the existing water runoff is pretty negligible from what I've seen. That includes that whole parking lot and that railroad building.
Okay.
So the infiltration in that pond is already doing what it's supposed to be doing, where it's taking the water away before it's not settling and staying in that pond area.
What are you proposing for screening between your facility and the residential?
Well, most of it's gonna be the back sides of that building already. So if we need to do, fencing that's screened, we could. Usually it doesn't look as pretty as doing like an ornate black chain link or whatever to make it look more aesthetically pleasing. Because right now it's just galvanized fence back there and they can see the backs of the buildings currently. You're gonna have probably a tan building with wainscot that they'll be looking at, and I don't know if what's the difference between a back of a building or a blocked fence. I don't know what's better, but yeah.
Well, to be honest, I think the building will look better than what's there now.
For sure, it will look better than what's there right now, but yeah.
And then what are you doing for lighting? Because these places sometimes are notorious for having lights at night that are bright, that shine into the neighbors' lots.
All of ours are the standard wall pack where it's facing down. And I think the ones, we installed new LEDs on some of the buildings, and I think some of the residents on that side got bright lights, and we changed the angle as far down as we could so it's not blasting that east side. We probably aren't going to have any lights on the back sides of these buildings facing those houses because it wouldn't really make sense. It's not on the drive lane. Basically, we're lighting up the drive lanes and where the units are.
So nothing that would face the residential.
Yeah, there shouldn't be anything facing the
Not
residential.
gonna have anything up on a pole.
No pole mount lights. It's too localized for poles.
And you still occupy hours, or don't you have, control hours of use, or is it open?
Yes, no, it's controlled hours.
I thought,
Yeah.
It says in here too. The 10. How close are you to Wisconsin Street? Will this new building be?
I'm
trying to see
it. It's like
20 feet.
20 feet?
no, it's further than that.
I mean, the buildings or the gate?
It's
No,
probably
no. At the end of the building to Wisconsin
Oh,
Street.
to the curb line?
Yeah, it's probably like 50 or 60.
Yeah, it's probably all.
Or at least.
Yep.
From the gate to the street's like 20 or 25, bro.
Right, and then it's another 30 feet or so to the keypad, and it's past that keypad, so rough guess 60.
Just concerned about the runoff from the rain.
Yeah, and that was, you could see we had quite a few comments.
Yeah.
Right.
To go along with that.
Which makes sense. I mean, obviously, we don't want to be flooding out neighbor. That's not at all.
Well, you're putting all asphalt there, I'm assuming.
Between the drive lanes, yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's gonna bypass his concern and go right into the river. If it's, we're talking 100-year deal. Yeah, the rivers, but that's why we have Kevin.
Just to clarify, there was a lighting issue that your homeowners were concerned about?
When you first installed the new lights along Galahad, on the outside of the building there, the westernmost building, they were tilting up and shining right into our homes in the homes in my neighborhood that are all on Galahad. And when I initially contacted Matt and said, hey, can you tilt these down? His initial response was, no, I can't. And I went over there with an Allen wrench and showed him how to do it. And then they fixed them all. There was no issues.
And they're higher, it's higher elevation anyways above you a little bit, isn't it? If the lights were, they're not,
No, they were the same elevation as before.
Okay.
They were just a different design, and they're brighter, right? The
Okay.
LED lights. So they're kind of on a tilted thing, and it's just an Allen wrench, and you control it up and down.
Right.
It's pretty easy to fix, and he fixed them all, just credit. So, and I haven't had any complaints from my neighbors about that since then.
And there shouldn't
Obviously
be,
worse in the wintertime than the summertime.
right, the glare.
Lose the leaves.
Yeah.
But
and
that's
there
the
shouldn't be any,
issue about that.
there shouldn't be any additional light that would impact your homeowners from this other section, correct?
No.
We only had one homeowner that butts up to it, send a letter in, right? We had nobody, I couldn't find anything in here.
No, I don't think, no, we haven't nothing. No,
I don't think.
no. This might be a sample, but this person is on that list, and this is what that person got, so.
Yeah, because this is the list of everybody that got a letter, right?
Right.
I would think those people would show up more.
Yeah. I know that area down there, I walk it,
I wonder how many of them are around in the wintertime.
that's resident, oh, that's true. Steve, yeah, maybe Steve, yeah.
Well, it's just a long weekend too, so they could be off.
Yeah, but this went out, when did this go out?
It went out a while ago.
yeah, I went out, because you give them like a month's notice, don't you? Pardon? Pardon?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to leave this beautiful climate.
That's the risk you take.
Gentlemen, you have any other questions?
Well, then you can close the public hearing.
No other questions, right? I'll ask it again. Any other questions, gentlemen, at all? For Matt, Steve, Kevin? All right, I'll close the public hearing. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, great job, I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. All right, so discussions amongst us people now.
Well, I mean, I'm retired, right? I got all day to do nothing. So every time I went down there, I didn't see a lot of activity. And so as far as traffic concerns, I don't really see traffic concerns, to be honest with you. And during the summer, I ride my bike down Galahad every day. And I never see any big trucks on there except construction trucks or the guy sodding that big house. It's got like 3 truckloads of sod in his front yard.
All the lawn mowing guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's about it. You don't see R&L transport trucks or people like that. So I don't, you know, I'm not sure the impact on the traffic on Galahad, especially based upon some of the numbers that we see here of, in June it was 15 a day. Now it's like 10 a day. I do see the concern about the water.
Yeah, my concern is the water also.
Water is, from my perspective, the water is a concern, because obviously lighting's not a concern, we already talked about that, right? Hours of operation, people going in the middle of the night, they close at 10, right? So we don't have to worry about people being in, you know, at 1 o'clock in the morning trying to get in and making noise.
Yeah, I think,
Water's a big issue, I think.
you know, relying on Cedar and what Kevin's come up with, you know, relying on his
Right.
expertise. Because the water, for me, the river, that's kind of why I'm here. But
So, just in your packet, Suzanne put together some suggested conditions. You want to consider those, and I guess I had a couple more that I was gonna add to the list. And one would be consider screening some sort, whether it's trees or fence, screening
Behind the building?
to those residences.
Yeah.
I didn't see any landscaping planted. And then, you know, they should make sure all Kevin's comments are answered to his satisfaction, the stormwater works. And then you can also consider having the conditional use permit come up for review in a year or two to see if there's any operational problems that need to be addressed.
Since no official plans have been submitted, I mean, we're just approving the cup tonight, but, or potentially, could we weigh anything on,
You should be approving what's been submitted
Submitted.
in their application. I'm assuming that's this.
Correct,
Right?
yeah. So that's, the building sizes and the stormwater plan and everything would be what it is. And then we would submit, you know, based on building bids, what the actual building construction and engineered plans are for the buildings before we get building permits.
But for the site plan purposes, this is what
Right.
you're gonna build.
Correct.
So Kevin is our protection.
oh,
For
but
those
engineer,
homeowners.
yeah, engineer, yep.
But you'd voice some concerns about the water as well.
I've seen water build up
yeah,
on Galahad, I've seen in past, I've seen it built, you know,
but these are on circumstances that, how often is that pond going to be filled?
right, this swale.
You know,
Yeah, it's 100 years, kind of the common practice out there is what you design these facilities for.
yeah.
And then the overflow will actually be the road out on Wisconsin
Wisconsin
Street.
Street.
Yep.
'Cause,
Once
I
it-
mean, you're here because he has concerns about the water.
Yeah.
And that's what, I mean, he lives down there, he's seen it, I haven't. I've seen my street where the water jumps this high off a, gutter. So, but yeah, the water's what is kind of my concern.
Yeah, there's culverts, I mean, there's things inside that storage thing that water runs too, I've seen, right? The
Yeah.
gate, way up,
Yeah, there's
and,
some storm sewer and
yeah,
stuff in there.
exactly.
Yeah, but, so the overflow coming out of this pond goes out into Wisconsin Street, but there is some inlets that are just to the east.
That's what I thought.
And then there's a storm sewer pipe that runs due south through the Malibu apartments, out to the Malibu.
Malibu,
So that's the way the flow actually ends up,
yeah.
if it goes up and over that.
The
So
majority
it won't
goes
go,
into-
it won't go to the river,
Nope, it won't go to
it
the
goes to
west.
the lake. And that was all, was replaced last year in Wisconsin, or 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Right,
Yeah.
Yep.
They tore that up pretty big time.
yep,
So the water, when the water gets on Wisconsin Avenue, the drains there go to Lake Malibu.
yes, there's a pipe that goes due south.
And that was a new pipe they just put in a couple years ago, right?
Well, they redid all the storm sewer in the street.
The pipe was there, though.
Yeah, but the one going to the south, there wasn't anything done with that.
This is a really stupid question, but does it have the capacity to handle additional flow?
The storm sewer itself is designed for 100 or 10-year storm event. So anything above and beyond that, it's gonna go up and over and
Yeah,
to the south.
Down west,
Yeah,
And then where would that go? Would that go through the parking lot of the,
yep, Malibu.
okay. So how safe is the property where the condos are if that pipe, that 10-year pipe is overflowing?
It's still gonna go to the south. It won't go to the west, because the low spots where those inlets are sitting out there right now.
Okay.
So it still drains somewhat into the Malibu still, or still,
Yeah, it would.
yeah?
just surface into the Malibu.
Yep. It would go overland and then down in.
On that's to be constructed, do they bore in there and determine what the soil types are to be able to take the absorption factor in for what's being
Yeah,
delivered?
they did some soil borings, yep. So then you know what the infiltration rate's gonna be. And you,
So almost 100% of the water on impervious surfaces for the new expansion will go into the filtration ponding. So
correct,
go down through that into groundwater
yes,
versus a sheet drain into a catch basin, which 100% of it goes into Lake Malibu and or the St. Croix.
correct, yep.
I think it's a big addition as far as square footage, adding 1.5 acres of impervious surfaces in the village with not a lot of economic gain other than for the operators. Certainly not a big windfall from a tax standpoint versus, $100 a square foot project and any type of job creation. I think if you're looking at a commercial use, then it should be a strong effort to try to steer their access away from the residential areas and off of Wisconsin, redirect it to Monroe if it was to be approved. They've got plenty of room there. They got more lineal frontage there on the north end. So that would be important to me if it was to get approved.
I think that's a great point.
The only caveat I would say to that is that the entrance from the north side, if you look at how that comes, the neighboring property to the north is, if you look at how their water and everything is set up, it's a problem right now. I don't know if you've been up there, but
Yeah, it was
water
just in,
sits in their parking lot, and then they also have, like, their stormwater, whatever it is, they've never fixed it, so there's holes basically in the parking lot where vehicles could fall in.
Yeah.
So that would need to be addressed with the neighbor.
I mean, you guys are participants back there. You're one of the largest area holders of land in the area as far as repairs and or upgrades. You got truck traffic coming in there, you got dance academies, you got the public invite in there for
rental spaces and other, buildings that are in there. That's by far the commercial approach to the land versus coming in through the residential setting on Wisconsin Street.
Well, just
Go ahead, Paul.
in terms of, you talked about coverage, and I think you and I went back and forth on this a while back, because the ordinance requires, I think, a maximum of 75% coverage, but they're below that, right? It was like
Yeah, they're at-
60-some percent.
63 is what they're at, so they're under that threshold.
That's what I remembered too, so.
Yep.
That's for ground absorption, water absorption?
Yeah, the zoning ordinance says for the industrial zone has a cap on how much can be
Sure.
buildings and impervious, and they're well below that, yes. And we checked that out, because that was one of my first concerns.
Well, gentlemen, I'll take a motion if you want to have a motion, or whatever you want to decide on this tonight. There's a lot of conditions to this, obviously. The key is our engineer's activity.
These are just suggestions that Suzanne
Yeah.
put together. You don't, some of them you're gonna have to abide by anyway, like
Right.
getting a building permit and following the law.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the fire inspection, all that activity is gonna be normal, just a normal building permit type stuff. Yep. Paul, you made a statement as far as just the appearance behind the building for the residents, right?
Yeah, I didn't see any landscaping or trees or any sort of a buffer back there, and I was just wondering if anything was planned. It does abut against, it's industrial, abutting against residential.
Well,
It is what it is back there.
yeah, but I guess I'm confused because, I thought that's where they were gonna have that drainage area behind that, between the fence line and that, and the building. So if you've got that as part of your drain area, if you put landscaping in there, it would,
Yeah, and maybe it doesn't
Get
work.
destroyed.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way at my house.
Yeah, yeah, and we were talking about that before we saw the plans,
Okay,
because now there's, like you said, there's trees and brush and everything in there, and that was all gonna get taken out. And just the question came up, are they putting anything back for screening?
yeah. And unless I'm looking at this wrong.
No, you're looking at it right.
Well, I'll take a motion, unless, or any direction you guys want to take.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we move forward
With any conditions?
with the conditions, obviously the drainage conditions, to make sure that it meets, that it doesn't flood their area out. I mean, that's,
So that would be the number 9 on our list that she has, village engineer review and approval of stormwater plans.
let me find that again.
We could also probably include number 8, the downlighting, not only to not to,
Yeah, so let's, why don't we go through these one by one and just decide what we
Yeah.
want to do? Can we do that?
yep.
Sure, yep,
Okay.
your motion.
So number one, all operations shall comply with federal, state regulations, local ordinance, and state fire, and that's a no-brainer, right?
part of our
Property must
building.
pass a satisfactory fire inspection. That's, once again,
That's not part of the criteria. Right now, the building inspections are done by private through like Wirtz Group.
yeah.
They review the plans. The Hudson Fire Department never sees these drawings until the buildings are complete and they do their first inspection. So they don't get a chance in the village of North Hudson to participate on plan review prior to approval of projects.
That's interesting.
I thought so too.
You can make that a
We could make that a
condition.
condition,
The fire
yeah.
department reviews it
Their
for access.
standards are under section 38 of the village code, so I assume that those are being reviewed by Wirtz Group. But I was surprised that the fire department doesn't look and make sure they can have proper radiuses for, maneuvering and all that as part of the process. They normally don't get a look until they come in to do their first annual inspection.
So, could we add that to this? Is that
Well,
an
especially
issue?
the access and radius is, I think, is concern. I can understand the inspections after the building is built, but the fact is, when you're talking about access, that should be added to this.
Yeah, I see that the plan is 30 feet, so it meets the width standard for access for them. They do have code access with the gate, it sounded like for the fire inspector, so they can get in the facility for 24 hours if needed. They just don't look at the building side of any project until after they actually come for their first inspection when they're done.
Then what do they do if it doesn't meet the criteria? They have to fix it to get
Then
an
they
occupancy
would
permit?
have to flag if there's a specific violation, but yeah.
Okay. State approval plans must be provided to building inspector. That's part of the regulation anyway.
Yep.
Number 4 is a sign permit be issued by building inspector prior to any sign being installed. Signs shall be in conformance with section 98-102, signs of municipal code. Hours of gate of operation from 8 to 10, that's already part of your criteria, so why not, it doesn't hurt to have it there. No residential occupancy, no commercial operation, downlights only, no overhead broad beam lights. We've already confirmed that's not part of the plan anyway.
I would put it in there.
I'll leave
Just
it.
to be safe.
Yep.
Village engineer reviews and approves stormwater plan. I think that's really the big one right there is the stormwater plan.
He's got like 15, 16 different items in here, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a few of them.
Okay.
Okay.
They can take this off the video, but I can probably come back to with some of this information to her if she needs to when I talk to Suzanne tomorrow, but, that's your motion with those,
Yeah.
okay? Is there a second to this?
Second?
Okay, any other discussions at all? I'll make one comment, Steve. I certainly appreciate you being here and expressing your point of view. It's always a consideration for us and you people there. I mean. Appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing. Yeah. Okay, all in favor, based on those conditions, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's approved. Thank you. All right, number 8, routine business. Any routine business to be carried out? Okay, item number 9 is adjourned. Thank you guys all for joining.
Thank you. Do we have to have a motion to adjourn?
We don't.
No, we don't.